A Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder, Chapter 9, Part 1. Her shop was every bit as crowded as yesterday, and Hannah was relieved when the predictable 11 o'clock lull arrived. It was the time of day when Lake Eden residents decided that it was too late for a breakfast cookie and too early for a lunch cookie. The break gave Hannah time to gather her wits and continue her unofficial but deputy-sanctioned investigation. She put on a fresh pot of coffee, wiped down the counter until it was sparkling, and went through the swinging door to the bakery to talk to Lisa. Lisa had just taken the last pan of cookies from the oven, and she greeted Hannah with a smile. "I'm finished with the baking, Hannah, and your plant's going to make it. Its roots just needed to be soaked." "Thanks, Lisa." Belatedly, Hannah remembered the instructions her mother had given her with the plant. African violets needed to be watered from the bottom and not from the top. She walked over to glance at the plant and saw that it looked much perkier. "I think it needs a new caregiver. Take it home with you, Lisa." Lisa smiled, clearly delighted with the offer. "It's a hybrid called Verona's Delight, and it'll just be gorgeous when it blooms. Are you really sure that you don't want it?" "I'm positive. It'll be a lot happier with you. Can you hold down the fort for me while I run next door to talk to Claire?" "Sure." Lisa whisked off her baker's apron and tied on the fancy one she wore when she handled the counter. "Go ahead, Hannah." Hannah stepped out the back door and immediately shivered. The temperature had dropped at least 10 degrees, and the clouds were grey and ominous looking. The radio weatherman had promised clear skies, but she'd been listening to a Minneapolis station, and that was 50 miles away. Claire's Toyota was in her parking spot, and Hannah walked over to knock on the back door of Beaumont Fashions. Claire didn't open until noon on Thursdays, but she was obviously here. "Hello, Hannah." Claire greeted her with a smile. "Come in and I'll show you that darling dress. I had to pull it off the rack yesterday. Lydia Graddon asked to try it, but it wouldn't have been right for her. And Kate Mashler had her eye on it too." Hannah felt immediately guilty. Because of her, Claire had lost a potential sale. "You should have let one of them buy it, Claire. I haven't even tried it on." "But you will, and it'll be absolutely perfect. Come in, Hannah, I'll show you." Hannah sighed and stepped into Claire's tiny back room. There was an ironing board set up in a corner next to a stack of dress boxes ready to be assembled. The air smelled hot. Claire had obviously been pressing out the wrinkles in her new shipment, and Hannah followed her, past racks of newly arrived clothing, and stepped around the sewing machine that was set up for alterations. She was frowning as she stepped through the gap in the curtain that separated the back room from the dress shop. She knew she'd have to try on the dress that Claire had chosen for her. It would be rude to refuse. "Here it is." Claire opened the closet that held her most expensive dresses and removed a hanger that held a black silk cocktail dress. "Isn't it just darling?" Hannah nodded. What else could she do? It looked like an ordinary dress to her, but she knew next to nothing about fashion, and Claire was the expert. "Go right in and try it on." Claire led the way to one of her little dressing rooms. "Would you like me to help you?" "No thanks, I can manage." Hannah walked into Claire's posh little dressing room and shut the door. "Are you out there, Claire?" "I'm here." Claire's voice floated in through the open transom. "Do you need me to zip you up?" "No, I'm fine. I just wondered if you saw anyone in the alley yesterday morning." "Just you, Hannah. Bill already asked, and I told him the same thing." "How about later?" Hannah unzipped her jeans and let them slip down into a denim pile around her ankles. "I didn't go out again until I heard all the commotion." Hannah kicked her jeans over to a spot near to the mirror and pulled off her sweatshirt. "Are you sure? You said you were unpacking a new shipment. Didn't you go out to throw any packing materials in the dumpster?" "I don't think so. Yes, I did." Claire sounded surprised. You're right, Hannah. I broke down some cartons and carried them out. And there was someone in the alley. A homeless man was huddled up in the thrift shop doorway waiting for it to open. Do you have any idea what time that was? Hannah asked as she removed the black dress from the hanger. I think it was about 7:45. When I got back inside, I pressed a dress, and then Becky Summers called to ask if the alterations were finished on her new pantsuit. I glanced at my watch and I remembered thinking that only Becky would have the nerve to call me a full 2 hours before I opened, so it must have been 8. What did this homeless man look like? I'm sure you've seen him around town, Hannah. He's tall, his hair sticks up in spikes. It's this awful red. Claire paused, and she sounded embarrassed when she spoke. It's not like your hair, Hannah. Yours is a lovely auburn color. This man's hair is so red, it's almost orange, like a clown. Hannah added that tidbit to her memory banks as she lifted the dress over her head and stuck her arms through the sleeves. She wiggled. The silk slipped down with a slither, and she reached behind her to pull up the zipper by its little tab. The dress fit her perfectly. Claire had a good eye for size. Does it fit you, Hannah? Claire's voice floated in again, like a glove. Hannah took a deep breath and glanced in the mirror. The stranger that stared back at her looked shocked. Not only did the dress fit, it was stunning on her, and Hannah had never looked stunning before in her life. Do you like it? It took Hannah a moment to find her voice. It's great. Come out and let me see if I need to do any alterations. You don't. Hannah kicked off her favorite old Nikes. They didn't exactly go with her new image. And then she opened the door and walked out. Claire's mouth dropped open when she saw her. I knew it would be perfect for you, but I had no idea it would turn you into a femme fatale. You have to take it, Hannah. I'll give you a huge discount. This dress was made for you. I think you're right. There was wonder in Hannah's voice as Claire led her over to the three-way mirror and she studied her reflection. She looked sophisticated, gorgeous, and utterly feminine. You want it, don't you, Hannah? Hannah turned to the mirror again. If she squinted, the woman who stared back at her looked a little like Katharine Hepburn. Her first instinct was to tell Claire to wrap up the dress, that price was no object, but reality intruded. Price was an object, and she knew it. Of course I want it, but I don't know if I can afford it. How much does it cost? Forget what I said about the discount. I'll give it to you at my cost. Just promise that you won't tell anyone what you paid. Okay, Hannah promised. How much is it? It retails for $180, but you can have it for $90. Hannah didn't hesitate. A dress like this came along only once in a lifetime. Sold. I'll never have a chance to wear it, and it'll probably hang in my closet for the rest of my life. But you're right. I've got to have it. Good girl. Claire looked pleased. But what do you mean you won't have a chance to wear it? The Woodleys' annual party is tomorrow night. Hannah blinked. She'd stuck her invitation in a drawer and forgotten all about it. Do you think that I should wear this dress? I'll tell everyone that your cookies are lousy if you don't, Claire threatened. You're going to knock them dead tomorrow night, Hannah. And on Saturday morning, your phone's going to be ringing off the hook. Hannah laughed. Perhaps Claire was psychic and her phone would ring off the hook. But 99% of those calls would be from Dolores, trying to find out which man she'd been trying to impress.